The moonlight shimmered over the dark waters of the Niger River as Toby cast his fishing net, his loyal dog, Bantu, sitting beside him. He knew the stories. His grandfather had warned him never to fish here at night. But hunger does not listen to old men's tales, and tonight, his family needed food. Then, the river shuddered. Something massive tugged at his fishing line, nearly yanking him off his canoe. It wasn't a fish. It wasn't anything he had ever felt before. His dog growled, ears flattened, sensing something was terribly wrong. What happened next would drag Toby into a nightmare, reveal a secret older than the village itself, and mark him as a husband to something not of this world. Sometimes, the most dangerous trap is not the one you set, but the one that was set for you. Toby thought he was just fishing to survive. Instead, he had just caught the attention of the river's most jealous spirit. This is the story of how a desperate fisherman became prey to a creature of the deep, and how his greatest mistake nearly made him a husband in the world beneath the waves. Before we dive in, I'd love to know, have you ever heard of mysterious things happening near rivers and lakes? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if you love folktales, be sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story will take us even deeper into the unknown. The night air was thick with the scent of rain, and the wind howled through the trees like a mourning spirit. Toby gripped his fishing spear tightly, his knuckles pale from the pressure. He had fished in many places before, but never here, never in the forbidden part of the Niger River. His grandfather's warning echoed in his mind. Never cast your net where the water sings, Toby. That is where the spirits dance. And if you see golden eyes beneath the surface, run. Do not stop, do not listen, do not breathe their name. But hunger had no patience for old men's tales. His wife and children had not eaten a full meal in days, and he could not return home empty-handed again. Beside him, his dog, Kara, let out a low growl, the fur on his back rising. Toby paused, his heart hammering in his chest. The river, which had been still only moments ago, now rippled unnaturally. A soft hum rose from its depths, like a woman singing a lullaby. Toby shuddered. He knew he should leave. But then, the tug. His fishing line jerked so hard it nearly wrenched his arm from its socket. Something massive had taken the bait. Kara barked wildly, lunging toward the riverbank. The fishing rod bent like a bow, and Toby dug his heels into the soft, wet earth, pulling with all his might. His muscles strained as the unseen creature beneath the water thrashed violently, sending waves crashing against the shore. And then, golden eyes. Two glowing, hypnotic orbs peered at him from the depths, unblinking, unnatural. Toby gasped, and the world spun. His body stiffened as a strange force wrapped around his mind. He could not move, could not blink. The golden eyes grew larger, closer, pulling him forward. Come to me. The voice slithered through his mind like a whispering snake. Kara let out a desperate snarl and lunged at his master, biting into his arm. Pain shot through Toby's body, and the trance shattered. He stumbled back, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The golden eyes vanished. But the river was still singing. Toby's stomach clenched as he stared at the dark water. His net was still in the river, his line still taut. Whatever was beneath had not let go. And then he saw it, something long and pale, like an arm, reaching from the water. But it was not human. It had too many joints. Too many fingers. The webbed claws gleamed under the moonlight as it slashed toward him. Kara leapt in front of him. The dog yelped as the claws tore into his side, sending him rolling across the muddy shore. Toby screamed in rage and fear, grabbing his fishing spear. He swung wildly, but by the time the weapon sliced through the air, the creature was gone. The river fell silent. Toby dropped to his knees, panting, his hands trembling. Kara whined in pain, his fur slick with blood. Then he saw it. Embedded deep in Kara's side was a long, jagged tooth. Not a fish's tooth. Not a reptile's. Something else. something that did not belong to this world. And then, from the river, the voice came again. "You are mine now, fisherman." The night had only just begun. Toby's hands shook as he reached for Kara, his fingers brushing against the dog's blood-matted fur. Kara let out a weak whimper, his breathing ragged. The jagged tooth, still lodged deep in his side, pulsed faintly under the moonlight. Toby swallowed hard. He had seen many creatures in his years as a fisherman, massive catfish, crocodiles with razor-sharp teeth, even monstrous river pythons, but never had he seen this. The river was silent now. Too silent. A cold chill ran down his spine. The golden eyes were gone, but he could feel them watching. "You are mine now, fisherman." The whispered voice still echoed in his head. Toby gritted his teeth. He had to move. Scooping Kara into his arms, he staggered away from the riverbank. His legs felt heavy, as if something unseen clung to him, weighing him down. But he pushed forward, his breath coming in quick, uneven gasps. The village was not far, but it felt like miles. Each step was a battle against the fear clawing at his heart. He needed to see the healer. By the time he stumbled into the healer's hut, his clothes were soaked with sweat, his face pale. The old healer, Mama F, was tending to a sick child when she saw him. Her sharp eyes flicked to Kara, then to Toby's face. "You should not have gone to the forbidden waters," she murmured. Toby's mouth went dry. How did she know? "Please, Mama F," he panted. "Kara is hurt. And..." He hesitated before whispering, "There is something inside him." Mama F nodded gravely and gestured for him to lay Kara on a woven mat. The small hut smelled of crushed herbs and burning incense. Dried leaves rustled from where they hung in the rafters, and strange masks lined the walls, their hollow eyes staring. Toby knelt beside his dog, stroking his fur as Mama F examined the wound. The moment her fingers brushed the strange tooth, she hissed and pulled back. Her eyes darkened. "This is not of this world." Toby swallowed. "What does that mean?" Mama F did not answer right away. Instead, she reached for a bowl of water, dipping her fingers inside. She whispered something under her breath, and the water darkened, turning as black as night. A strong wind suddenly swept through the hut, though the air outside was still. The fire in the corner flickered wildly, casting twisted shadows on the walls. Mama F's lips pressed into a thin line. "This is a spirit's mark," she said at last, her voice barely above a whisper. Toby's chest tightened. "A spirit," he echoed. Mama F's gaze was heavy, filled with something close to pity. "A water spirit has chosen you," she murmured. "And once they mark a man..." She hesitated. "They do not let him go." A chill crawled over Toby's skin. His grandfather's warnings. The golden eyes in the water. The whisper that still lingered in his ears. "You are mine now, fisherman." Toby clenched his fists. "What do I do?" Mama F took a deep breath. "First, we remove the tooth." She reached for a sharp, curved blade and held it over a flame. The metal glowed red-hot. Kara whined, but Toby whispered soothing words, holding his dog still. Mama F's hands were steady as she pressed the blade to Kara's side. A sickening hiss filled the air as the tooth loosened, and with a swift, practiced motion, she pulled it free. Kara yelped but did not struggle. The tooth fell into the bowl of darkened water with a plop. For a moment, all was still. Then the water boiled. A ghostly wail echoed through the hut, sending a shiver down Toby's spine. The wind picked up again, howling through the tiny space. Mama F grabbed a bundle of dried leaves, tossing them into the flames. The fire roared, burning blue for a heartbeat before settling. The air grew calm once more. Toby exhaled. "Is it over?" Mama F shook her head, her face grave. "No, fisherman," she said softly. This was only the beginning. That night, Toby could not sleep. He sat outside his hut, staring at the dark sky, his thoughts tangled. Kara lay beside him, his breathing steady but weak. The dog's wound was clean, but the strange energy that surrounded them had not faded. Mama F's words haunted him. A water spirit has chosen you. Why him? He was just a fisherman. A simple man trying to feed his family. A gentle breeze swept through the village, rustling the palm trees. In the distance, crickets sang their lonely songs. Then, he heard it. A voice. Soft. Melodic. Familiar. Toby. His blood ran cold. Slowly, he turned his head toward the river. It was far from his hut, hidden behind the dense trees. Yet, in the darkness, he swore he saw something pale and shimmering moving between the trees. A shadow with golden eyes. Toby. The voice was closer now. It curled around his ears, gentle but commanding. He should have run. He should have covered his ears and ignored it. But his body would not move. His feet dragged forward, his breath shallow. The world around him faded. The village. The trees. Even the sky. All that remained was the voice. The river. And the golden eyes. Then he saw her. A figure standing at the water's edge, half hidden by mist. Her hair shimmered like moonlight. Her skin glowed softly, smooth like polished stone. And her golden eyes, so deep, so endless, held him captive. She smiled. My husband. The river opened before him. And Toby stepped forward. Toby's feet sank into the soft, wet earth as he moved closer to the river's edge. He did not want to walk. He did not want to obey the voice calling him. But his body was no longer his own. The golden-eyed spirit watched him, a knowing smile on her lips. The mist curled around her, shifting like living fingers, reaching out for him. Come to me, my husband. The words were a gentle caress against his mind. They soothed the fear rising in his chest. The river was home. The river was peace. Step into the water, and you will never be hungry again. Toby blinked slowly. Never hungry again. No more struggling. No more watching his children's bellies ache from emptiness. His foot lifted. A sharp bark shattered the trance. Kara. The dog, weak but determined, launched himself at Toby's leg, biting down hard. Pain jolted through Toby's body, snapping his mind free from the spirit's grasp. The golden-eyed woman's smile vanished. Her eyes narrowed, glowing brighter. Leave the beast behind, she whispered, her voice less soothing now. More demanding. Toby stumbled backward, his heart hammering in his chest. His head felt heavy, like thick fog had settled inside his skull. He turned and ran. The moment his feet left the riverbank, the air behind him hissed. A cold wind lashed against his back, and the river screeched. Not the sound of water. Not the sound of waves. The sound of something furious. Toby did not dare look back. Kara ran beside him, his injured body moving with surprising speed. The golden eyes burned in the darkness, but Toby forced himself forward. He reached his hut, slamming the wooden door shut behind him. His breath came in ragged gasps as he pressed his back against the door, heart pounding. Outside, the night was silent. But he could still feel her watching. Toby could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face. The pale skin. The long flowing hair. The golden eyes. He tossed and turned, sweat beading his forehead despite the cool night air. Beside him, Kara whimpered in his sleep. The dog had saved him twice now, but Toby knew this was not over. The spirit had marked him. His heart clenched at the memory of Mama F's words. Once a spirit marks a man, they do not let him go. Toby sat up, rubbing his arms. His skin felt strange. Tingling. As if invisible fingers were tracing over him. A shiver ran through his spine. Then he saw it. A faint glow. At first, he thought it was the moonlight creeping through the cracks in the hut. But no, this glow came from him. He looked down at his chest and froze. A symbol. Faint, but unmistakable. Right over his heart, a swirling, golden mark had appeared on his skin. Toby swallowed hard. It was shaped like the waves of the river. And it was pulsing. Before the first light of dawn, Toby was already outside Mama F's hut. His mind was screaming at him to leave the village, to run far from the river, but deep down, he knew it would not matter. The spirit would follow. Mama F opened the door slowly, her eyes weary, as if she had been expecting him. "You saw her, didn't you?" she murmured. Toby nodded stiffly. "She called me husband." The old woman inhaled sharply. Her gaze flicked down to his chest, and when she saw the glowing mark, she paled. "You are in great danger, fisherman." Toby clenched his fists. "Tell me how to stop this." Mama F shook her head. "You cannot stop it. The spirit has already claimed you." The words sent a deep, sinking dread into Toby's bones. There must be a way, he pressed. A way to break the mark. Mama F hesitated, her fingers tightening around the wooden staff she carried. "There is a way," she admitted at last. "But it is not easy. And if you fail..." She let the words hang in the air. Toby straightened his shoulders. "Tell me what I must do." Mama F studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. "At sunset, meet me at the edge of the forbidden waters," she said. "And pray that the river does not take you before then." The day passed in a haze. Toby could not fish. Could not eat. Could barely think. The golden mark on his chest pulsed with a strange warmth, as if the river's spirit was breathing through his skin. Whenever he stood still, he swore he could hear something. A voice. Soft. Beckoning. "Toby, come to me." He shook his head violently, trying to drive it away, but the whispers only grew stronger as the sun dipped lower in the sky. Kara stayed by his side, limping slightly from his injuries but ever watchful. Every time Toby's steps wandered toward the riverbank, the dog growled low, as if sensing an unseen force pulling his master away. Finally, as the sky darkened, Toby steeled himself. He had to meet Mama F. And he had to do it before the spirit took control of him again. The path to the forbidden waters was one he had never taken before. Mama F had warned the village many times to stay away. It was said to be the place where spirits gathered, where the river was deepest and darkest. Toby's footsteps were quiet against the dirt path. The night air was thick with the scent of damp earth and the sound of distant drums from the village. Kara padded beside him, ears flicking at every strange rustle in the trees. Then, ahead, he saw her. Mama F stood near the water's edge, her wooden staff planted firmly in the ground. The moon cast long shadows across her wrinkled face. "You came," she said, her voice low. Toby swallowed hard. "Tell me what I must do." Mama F looked at the glowing mark on his chest and sighed. "The spirit has already begun her claim. She speaks to you, does she not?" Toby hesitated, then nodded. Mama F's face darkened. "She will not stop. Each night, the call will grow stronger. Soon, you will lose yourself completely." A shiver crawled down Toby's spine. "How do I break it?" he asked. The old woman reached into her satchel and pulled out a small, carved gourd. "This is an ancient mixture," she explained. "Made from the roots of the ogbono tree and the scales of a fallen water spirit. If you drink it before dawn, it may weaken her hold." Toby reached for the gourd, but Mama F pulled it back. "There is a price," she warned. Toby clenched his jaw. "What price?" Mama F's eyes gleamed in the moonlight. "You must face the spirit tonight. If you run, if you hide, she will claim you forever." A cold knot tightened in Toby's stomach. He was not ready for this. But he had no choice. He took the gourd from Mama F's hands. As he raised it to his lips, the wind shifted. The river. It was calling him again. "Toby." The voice was no longer a whisper. It was a command. And this time, the water moved. The wind howled through the trees, carrying the spirit's voice across the night. "Toby, my husband, come to me." The river trembled. The water did not flow as it should, it slithered, coiling like a living thing, inching closer to the shore. Toby's hands shook as he brought the gourd to his lips. Mama F gripped her staff tightly. "Drink quickly," she urged. Toby swallowed the bitter liquid. It burned as it slid down his throat, leaving behind a strange heat that spread through his chest. Then, pain. A searing, twisting pain erupted from the golden mark on his skin. He fell to his knees, gasping. The spirit screamed. It was not the scream of a woman. It was the sound of the river itself roaring in fury. The water surged upward, and from its depths she emerged. The golden-eyed spirit. Her long, flowing hair clung to her pale skin, and her lips curled into a snarl. "You dare drink a spirit ward," she hissed, her voice no longer sweet, but venomous. Toby could not move. His body was locked in place, trapped between pain and fear. The spirit's eyes narrowed. "You are mine." The river exploded forward. A wave as tall as the palm trees rose up, aiming straight for Toby. Mama F slammed her staff into the ground. "Stay back, River Witch," she commanded. The wave hesitated, trembling in the air. The spirit hissed, her golden eyes flashing. "He belongs to me. He pulled me from the river. He made a bargain when he took what was not his." Toby's breath caught. Bargain. The spirit's lips curled into a chilling smile. "Did you think you could fish in my waters without cost? When you hooked me, you sealed your fate." His stomach dropped. She was the one he had hooked. The monstrous thing that had dragged him under. Not a fish. Not a creature. But a spirit bride seeking her husband. And now, she was claiming him. The river trembled. The spirit took a step forward, and the water surged beneath her. The earth groaned under the weight of her presence. Mama F tightened her grip on her staff. "You will not take him tonight," she said. The spirit's smile did not fade. "You are old, healer. You do not have the strength to fight me." Mama F's eyes burned with defiance. "Then let us see whose magic is stronger." She slammed her staff into the ground once more. A pulse of energy spread outward, like ripples across water. The air grew thick, crackling with unseen forces. The spirit's smile faltered. She hissed and lifted her hand. The river obeyed. A towering wave shot forward, crashing toward Mama F and Toby. But before it could reach them, the old woman whispered something under her breath. The moment the wave touched the ground, it froze. Not into ice, but into stillness. The water hung in the air, unmoving. The spirit's golden eyes widened. "Impossible." Mama F exhaled slowly. "You underestimate the magic of the land." For a heartbeat, everything was still. Then the spirit shrieked. The frozen wave collapsed, spilling back into the river. The spirit's form flickered, as though the water could no longer hold her shape. She glared at Toby, her eyes glowing like the sun. "This is not over, fisherman." Then, with a final hiss, she vanished beneath the surface. The river was calm again. But Toby knew the battle had only just begun. Toby sat in Mama F's hut, his hands trembling. His chest still burned where the golden mark pulsed beneath his skin. "You are lucky," Mama F said, grinding herbs into a thick paste. "Few men escape a spirit's claim once they have been marked." Kara, lying at Toby's feet, whined softly. The dog's wounds were healing, but his eyes never left his master's face. He could sense something was wrong. Toby exhaled shakily. "She said I made a bargain, but I never agreed to anything." Mama F looked at him sternly. "When you hooked her, you did. The spirits do not follow our rules, Toby. You drew her from the depths, and she saw it as an invitation. A wedding proposal." Toby's stomach clenched. "Then how do I break it?" Mama F sighed. "Breaking such a bond is not easy. The river spirit has claimed you, and as long as that mark remains, she will never stop calling you." Toby clenched his fists. He would not be some spirit's husband. He had a family to provide for. A village that needed him. He needed to fight this. "There must be a way," he said. Mama F hesitated, then nodded. "There is, but it will not be easy. And if you fail, the river will claim you forever." Toby met her gaze. "Tell me what I must do." Mama F pulled a small, leather-bound pouch from her shelf and handed it to Toby. "This holds protection charms," she explained. "Take them with you when you go to the sacred mountain." Toby frowned. "Sacred mountain?" Mama F nodded. "There is an old spirit who lives atop the mountain. He is neither of the land nor of the river. If anyone knows how to break your bond, it is him." Toby's breath quickened. He had heard of the sacred mountain before, stories of strange happenings, whispers of an ancient being that granted knowledge at a price. But no one had ever dared seek him out. Still, he had no choice. "I will go," he said. Mama F studied him for a long moment. "Be careful, fisherman. The spirits do not take kindly to those who meddle in their affairs." Toby nodded. "I understand." But deep down, he knew nothing could prepare him for what lay ahead. That night, Toby tried to sleep, but the river would not let him. The wind outside his hut carried whispers. "Toby, do not run from me." He squeezed his eyes shut, pressing his hands over his ears. But the voice did not come from outside. It was inside his head. The golden mark on his chest pulsed, and suddenly, he felt the pull, the overwhelming urge to walk to the river. His body moved on its own. His feet slid off the bed. He stepped toward the door, his mind foggy, his breath shallow. "Come, my love. The water is waiting." His hand reached for the door. Then, a snarl. Kara leapt up, biting the edge of Toby's tunic, yanking him backward with all his strength. Toby gasped, snapping out of the trance. The whispers stopped. His heart pounded as he collapsed to the ground, his body slick with sweat. Kara stood over him, growling at the door. Something was out there. And it was watching. Toby sat on the floor of his hut, breathing heavily, his heart pounding like the village drums. Kara stood protectively in front of him, teeth bared, growling low at the door. The night outside was eerily silent. No insects chirped. No wind rustled through the trees. Just silence. Then, a soft splash. Toby stiffened. His hands gripped the floor. Another splash. It was coming from the river. "Come to me, husband." The voice slithered into his mind, silky and patient. He shuddered, fighting against the unnatural pull. Kara barked sharply. The sound broke through the trance, and the golden mark on Toby's chest flickered, its glow dimming. The spirit was close. Toby scrambled to his feet. He could not stay in the hut, he had to leave before the river spirit tried again. He grabbed his spear, a small bag of dried food, and Mama F's pouch of charms. With Kara at his side, he slipped out into the darkness. Toby moved quickly, staying in the shadows, avoiding the river's edge as he made his way out of the village. The sacred mountain was far, 3 days' journey by foot. He prayed he would make it that far. The path through the forest was dark and unfamiliar. Twisted roots snaked across the ground, waiting to trip him. Strange shadows flickered between the trees. Kara walked close, ears alert, sniffing the air. Toby's stomach churned. He had never been this deep into the wild before. The villagers spoke of strange creatures that roamed these lands, spirits forgotten by time, watching from the darkness. A twig snapped behind him. He spun, spear raised. Nothing. Only trees, their branches swaying gently as if whispering secrets to one another. Toby swallowed hard and pressed on. But he could not shake the feeling that something was following him. The deeper Toby went into the forest, the heavier the air became. Something was wrong. Kara stopped suddenly, growling low in his throat. Toby froze. He listened. Silence. Too silent. Then, a breath. Not his. Not Kara's. Something else. Toby's grip tightened on his spear. "Who's there?" he called, trying to keep his voice steady. The trees did not answer. But the shadows shifted. A pair of glowing yellow eyes blinked in the darkness. Toby's breath hitched. The eyes were not human. He took a step back. The creature in the trees did not move. Then, it smiled. A mouth filled with too many teeth. Toby's heart nearly stopped. The thing whispered, "The river has sent me to fetch you, fisherman." Kara lunged. Kara leaped forward, his teeth flashing in the moonlight. The creature in the trees moved too fast. One moment, it was perched on a thick branch, the next, it was on the ground. A long, clawed arm swung out. Kara dodged, barely missing the deadly swipe. He lunged again, sinking his teeth into the creature's leg. The beast screamed. It wasn't human. It wasn't animal. Its voice was like water boiling over hot stones, hissing and bubbling, filled with rage. Toby gripped his spear, fear gripping his chest. The thing was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was tall and thin, its skin dark and slick like wet river stones. Its mouth stretched wide, revealing too many sharp teeth. And those yellow eyes, filled with hunger. "You belong to the river, fisherman." The creature's voice was strange, layered, as if two voices spoke at once. Toby forced his fear down. "I belong to no one." He thrust his spear forward. The creature dodged, moving like mist, but Kara took the opportunity to bite down harder. The beast shrieked and kicked the dog off. Kara hit the ground with a yelp but scrambled to his feet. The creature hissed. "You cannot run forever. She will claim you." Then, before Toby could strike again, the beast melted into the shadows. Silence. The forest held its breath. Toby's hands trembled as he lowered his spear. Kara panted, his eyes still fixed on the trees. It was gone. But not for long. Toby swallowed hard. He had no choice. He had to keep moving. The river had sent a hunter after him. And he knew it wouldn't stop until it dragged him back. Toby and Kara moved quickly, not stopping until the sun began to rise. His legs ached, but he didn't dare rest. Not when the river spirit's servant could still be tracking him. By midday, they reached the foot of a hill where an old hut stood, half hidden by thick trees. Smoke curled lazily from the thatched roof. Toby hesitated. He had heard stories of hermits who lived deep in the forests. Some were wise, others dangerous. But he needed help. He knocked on the wooden door. No answer. He knocked again. Still nothing. Then, an arrow whistled past his ear, embedding itself in the doorframe. Toby spun around, heart hammering. An old man stood a few steps away, holding a bow. His skin was dark and leathery, his white beard tangled, his sharp eyes watching Toby like a hawk. "What do you want, boy?" the old man asked, lowering his weapon slightly. Toby swallowed. I need help. I'm being hunted by something from the river." The old man's face darkened. "Then you've already lost." Toby's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" The hunter sighed and motioned for him to enter the hut. "Come inside. If the river has marked you, then we don't have much time." Inside the hut, the air smelled of herbs and smoke. Dried animal skins hung on the walls, and weapons lined the shelves. The old man, who introduced himself as Bako, sat near the fire, sharpening a blade. "You said you are hunted," Bako said. "Tell me everything." Toby recounted his story, the fishing trip, the golden mark, the river spirit, the attack in the forest. When he finished, Bako sighed deeply. "You are marked, boy. That means you are already half hers." Toby's stomach twisted. "No. I won't let her take me." Bako's sharp gaze met his. "Fighting her is like fighting the river itself. You cannot kill water." Toby clenched his fists. "Then tell me how to break the bond." Bako was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "There is only one way." Toby leaned forward. "You must journey to the sacred mountain and seek the one who lives there. He alone can sever the bond between you and the spirit." Toby exhaled. Mama F had told him the same thing. Bako stood. "Rest here for a few hours. Then leave. The river will not wait forever." Toby nodded. But deep down, he knew he was running out of time. Toby sat by the fire, staring at the flames. His body ached from exhaustion, but his mind refused to rest. Kara lay beside him, his ears twitching as he dozed lightly. Across the room, Bako hummed a low tune as he mixed herbs in a wooden bowl. "You should sleep, boy," the old hunter said without looking up. "I can't," Toby admitted. Bako chuckled dryly. "Afraid she will come for you in your dreams." Toby swallowed hard. That was exactly what he feared. "You're smart to be afraid," Bako said. "The river spirits don't need the night to claim you. The moment you close your eyes, she will find her way in." Toby shivered. He glanced down at his chest where the golden mark still glowed faintly. "Come to me, husband." The whisper drifted into his mind, wrapping around his thoughts like vines. Toby clenched his fists, forcing the voice away. Bako watched him. "She is growing impatient. That means you are close to slipping away from her grasp." "Then I have to leave now," Toby said, standing abruptly. Bako shook his head. "Leaving in the dark is foolish. But if you must go, take this." He handed Toby a small leather pouch. "Inside is a powder made from sacred bark. If she calls you again, scatter it around you. It will buy you time." Toby took the pouch, grateful. "Thank you," he said. Bako grunted. "Don't thank me yet. If you fail, the river will not just take you, it will swallow your soul forever." Toby nodded grimly. He already knew the cost. With Kara at his side, he stepped out into the night. The journey to the sacred mountain had begun. The forest was alive with whispers. Toby walked cautiously, spear in hand, Kara beside him. The deeper they went, the thicker the mist became. His footsteps were muffled, as though the earth itself was swallowing the sound. Then, a voice. Soft, distant. "Toby, come back." He froze. It was his mother's voice. But that was impossible. His mother was back in the village. Kara growled low, the fur on his back standing up. Toby gripped his spear. "It's not real," he whispered to himself. The mist swirled around him, shifting like living smoke. Then, another voice. "Toby, please, help me." His heart clenched. It sounded like Mara, his younger sister. A shadow moved ahead. Small. Familiar. A girl stood in the mist, reaching out for him. Her face was hidden, but her voice trembled with fear. "Brother, don't leave me." Toby took a shaky step forward. Kara barked fiercely, snapping at Toby's leg. Pain jolted him back to his senses. He blinked. The girl was gone. The mist thinned slightly, revealing what had truly been there. A twisted, gnarled tree with claw-like branches. If he had stepped any closer, its roots would have wrapped around his feet and dragged him under. The forest was playing tricks on him. He exhaled sharply. The river was angry, and it would stop at nothing to get him back. Toby pressed forward, determined. But he knew now, he was not just fighting a spirit. He was fighting the river itself. Morning light broke through the trees as Toby reached the edge of the forest. A valley stretched out before him, golden with tall grass. The sacred mountain was still far. He took a deep breath, relieved to have left the haunted forest behind. But Kara suddenly stiffened. The dog's ears perked up, his nose sniffing the air. Then, a deep thud behind them. Toby spun around. Something had just landed from the trees. A figure rose from the grass, tall, lean, wrapped in dark cloth. Its face was hidden behind a carved wooden mask, its glowing eyes peering through the slits. It carried a long spear, and it was staring directly at Toby. "The river sent me," the figure said in a hollow voice. Toby's breath caught in his throat. Another hunter. But this one was not human. This was a spirit tracker, a warrior who hunted for the river spirits, dragging back those who tried to escape their fate. Toby had heard the stories. No one had ever survived an encounter with one. The tracker tilted its head. "Run," it said, its voice cold. Toby's grip on his spear tightened. He had no choice. He ran. And the tracker followed. Toby's feet pounded against the earth as he sprinted through the valley. His heart slammed in his chest. Kara raced beside him, barking furiously. Behind them, the spirit tracker moved like a shadow, silent, relentless. Toby didn't dare look back. He had heard the stories. The spirit trackers never stopped. They did not grow tired, they did not lose their prey. The golden mark on his chest burned hotter. The river was calling. "You cannot run, husband." The whisper slid through his mind, soft as a lover's touch. "Come back to me." Toby gritted his teeth, fighting the trance. He had to get away. Ahead, a narrow gorge cut through the valley. Steep cliffs rose on both sides, with a single wooden bridge stretched across. It was his only chance. He pushed himself faster. Kara reached the bridge first, his paws thudding on the wooden planks. Toby was just a few steps away. Then, a sharp pain seared through his shoulder. Something cold latched onto him, burning like ice. Toby gasped and staggered, his vision blurring. His body felt heavy, like his limbs were being pulled downward. The spirit tracker had marked him. It was a curse, one that slowed its prey, making escape impossible. Toby stumbled onto the bridge. The wooden planks creaked under his weight. The tracker did not slow down. It stepped onto the bridge with eerie calm, raising its long spear. Toby gripped the ropes for balance. His muscles screamed in protest. He was too slow. He could feel it behind him. Breathing. Watching. Waiting. Kara snarled and lunged at the tracker. The spirit warrior didn't flinch. It caught the dog midair and threw him aside like a rag doll. Kara yelped as he crashed into the bridge's wooden railing. Toby's rage flared. With all his strength, he spun around and swung his spear. The tracker caught it. For a brief moment, their eyes locked, Toby's full of defiance, the tracker's glowing with something unreadable. Then, with a flick of its wrist, the tracker snapped the spear in half. Toby's stomach dropped. Before he could react, the tracker shoved him. His feet left the bridge. For a heartbeat, he was weightless. Then, he was falling. The world spun around him as he tumbled toward the rocky riverbed below. The last thing he heard was Kara howling. Then everything went black. Toby's mind drifted in darkness. He wasn't dead. But he wasn't alive either. He floated in nothingness, weightless, lost. Then, a voice. Soft. Sweet. "You are mine now, husband." Toby's body shivered as warm hands traced over his skin. His eyes fluttered open. He was no longer falling. He was underwater. The river wrapped around him like silk, holding him gently. Golden light shimmered through the deep. And before him, she floated. The mermaid. Her dark hair drifted like waves. Her golden eyes gleamed. The same eyes that had marked him that night at the river. She smiled. "You cannot run from fate." Her fingers brushed his chest, tracing the golden mark. Toby's heart pounded. His lungs burned. He tried to swim away. But his body wouldn't move. It wasn't just the water that held him. It was her will. "Come deeper, husband." She leaned in, her lips inches from his. Toby struggled. His mind screamed, no. The river tightened around him. The mermaid's grip hardened. Then, a flash of light. Something ripped him away from her grasp. Toby's vision blurred. He was rising, fast, breaking through the water's surface. Then, air. He gasped, coughing violently. Cold wind slapped his face. Strong hands grabbed him, pulling him onto solid ground. He rolled onto his back, shivering. Above him, a stranger stood. A man. Tall. Cloaked. His face hidden beneath a deep hood. The stranger knelt beside him and spoke in a voice like thunder. "You are not ready to face her yet." Toby's head spun. His body ached. But he forced himself to speak. "Who are you?" The stranger's hooded gaze burned into him. "I am the one who can break your curse." Toby's breath caught. The sacred mountain. Had he found the one he was searching for? Or had someone else found him first? Toby lay gasping on the damp ground, his body weak from the battle in the river. The hooded stranger crouched beside him, his voice deep and commanding. "You are marked, fisherman. The River Queen has claimed you." Toby clutched his burning chest, feeling the golden mark pulse beneath his skin. I don't want to be hers," he rasped. The stranger's face remained hidden, but his presence was powerful. "Then you must fight, before it is too late." Toby's breath shuddered. "Who are you?" The man's hand tightened around his wooden staff. "I am Bantu, guardian of the sacred mountain." Toby's eyes widened. The sacred mountain. His grandfather had spoken of it, a place of wisdom, where warriors and hunters sought protection from spirits. But few ever reached it. Toby struggled to sit up. "I need to break this curse. Tell me how." Bantu rose to his feet. His cloak swayed in the wind. "The River Queen is patient. She will not rush to take you." He turned, his voice grim. "She enjoys the chase." Toby's stomach clenched. He thought of the whispers at night. The golden eyes in the water. The way his body moved on its own when she called. "She will come for you again." Toby clenched his fists, He couldn't let that happen. Kara limped to his side, whining softly. The dog's fur was wet, and the wound from the spirit tracker still bled. Bantu looked at Kara and frowned. Your companion carries the touch of something ancient. Toby followed his gaze. The strange tooth, the one pulled from Kara's flesh, gleamed in the moonlight. Bantu bent down and picked it up. He examined it closely. This is not from a fish. Toby swallowed hard. Then what is it? Bantu's eyes gleamed beneath his hood. It belongs to something older than this land. Toby's skin prickled. Older than the land. What had he truly hooked that night in the river? Bantu closed his fist around the tooth. If you wish to break free, follow me to the sacred mountain. Toby hesitated. He had never left his village before. But staying meant death, or worse. He exhaled sharply and nodded. Then let's go. Bantu turned without another word and walked into the darkness. Toby followed, Kara limping beside him. Somewhere far behind them, in the depths of the Niger River, the mermaid watched. And she smiled. Toby's legs ached as he climbed the steep mountain path behind Bantu. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and old magic. Each step felt heavier. Not just because of exhaustion, but because something unseen pulled at him. The river's call. Come back to me, husband. Toby gritted his teeth. No. He would not go to her. He pressed forward, ignoring the whispers in his mind. Ahead, Bantu suddenly stopped. Toby nearly bumped into him. What is it? He asked. Bantu's head turned slightly, as if listening. Then, a deep growl rumbled from the trees. Kara's ears flattened, his fur standing on end. Toby's pulse spiked. Bantu raised his staff. We are being followed. Toby's blood turned cold. By what? The growling grew louder. Then, the shadows moved. Glowing eyes appeared between the trees. Yellow. Hungry. Not human. Toby gripped his broken spear. The creatures emerged. Their bodies were covered in sleek black fur. Their limbs were long and twisted, as if they had once been men but had been changed. Toby's breath hitched. River cursed. Men who had been claimed by water spirits but failed to become part of their world. Now, they were trapped between life and death. And they were starving. Bantu exhaled slowly. They want your mark. Toby clenched his jaw. He was not going to let them take him. The first beast lunged. Bantu moved like lightning. His staff slammed into the creature's chest, sending it flying back. Toby barely had time to react before another one attacked. Kara leapt in front of him, biting down on the beast's leg. The creature screeched and tried to shake the dog off. Toby didn't waste time. He drove his broken spear into its side. The beast howled and collapsed. But there were more. A dozen yellow eyes glowed in the darkness. Toby realized something. They weren't trying to kill him. They were trying to drag him back to the river. He was prey. A shadow leapt at him. Toby barely dodged. Its claws scraped his arm. Pain flared, but he held firm. Bantu slammed his staff into the ground. A wave of golden energy rippled through the forest. The cursed men screamed and fled into the night. The light faded. Silence fell. Toby panted, clutching his bleeding arm. Bantu turned to him, his voice calm. Do you see now? Toby swallowed hard. See what? Bantu's hooded face tilted. The River Queen will not let you go easily. Toby's stomach churned. How far would she go? He already knew the answer. As far as it took. Bantu turned and continued up the mountain. Toby wiped the sweat from his brow and followed. The battle was far from over. And the mermaid was waiting. Toby's legs burned as he climbed higher up the sacred mountain, his body aching from exhaustion and wounds. Bantu walked ahead of him, never slowing, his staff tapping against the stone path. Kara limped beside Toby, his tail low but his spirit unbroken. The farther they went, the colder the air became. And the whispers grew louder. "Toby, my husband, come back to me." Toby shivered. The River Queen's voice wrapped around his mind like silk, soft and sweet, yet filled with an unshakable power. "Why do you run, my love?" He clenched his fists. "I am not yours." The golden mark on his chest burned in response. Bantu suddenly stopped. Toby almost collapsed into him. "We rest here," Bantu said. Toby glanced around. They stood in a small clearing, surrounded by jagged rocks. Above them, the peak of the mountain disappeared into thick mist. "How much farther?" Toby panted. Bantu sat cross-legged on the ground. "The path is not measured in distance, but in will." Toby scowled. "That doesn't help." Bantu tilted his head. "Would you rather I lie?" Toby sighed and sat beside Kara, scratching the dog's fur. The air was thin. Each breath felt heavy. Toby glanced at Bantu. "You said the River Queen won't let me go easily." Bantu nodded. "Is there a way to break her claim?" Bantu was silent for a long time. Then, "Once a spirit marks a man, the bond is nearly impossible to break." Toby's stomach dropped. "There is only one way," Bantu continued. Toby straightened. "Tell me." Bantu's eyes gleamed beneath his hood. "You must find something the River Queen fears." Toby frowned. "She's a powerful spirit. What could she possibly fear?" Bantu's voice was grim. "Something older than her." Toby stiffened. "Older? What could be older than the spirits of the river?" Kara suddenly growled. Toby snapped his head up. The mist around them was moving. No. It wasn't mist. It was something else. A deep, wet voice echoed through the night. "Flee while you still can, fisherman." Toby's skin prickled. Out of the swirling fog, a figure emerged. Tall. Thin. Eyes like pale moons. Bantu stood. His grip tightened around his staff. Toby reached for his broken spear. The figure laughed, a horrible, watery sound. "The queen is patient, but not forever." The mist coiled around Toby's ankles. Cold. Wet. Pulling. "Come to me, my husband." Toby gritted his teeth. "No. Not today." Toby lunged forward, breaking free from the mist. Kara barked, snapping at the tendrils of fog. Bantu struck the ground with his staff. A golden pulse rippled outward. The mist hissed and recoiled. The figure in the fog tilted its head. "So, the fisherman resists." Toby clenched his fists. "I am not hers." The creature's smile widened. "Oh, but you will be." Toby's heart pounded. Bantu took a step forward. "Spirit servant, you have no power here." The figure chuckled. "I do not need power. I only need time." Toby's chest burned. The golden mark flared. The spirit's voice grew softer. "She calls for you, Toby. Do you not hear her?" His head pounded. His breath shook. "Come back to the river, husband." His legs moved on their own. "No. No." Toby dug his fingers into his palms. He would not give in. The spirit hissed in frustration. "The queen will not wait forever." The mist retreated. And then, the figure vanished. Toby collapsed to his knees, gasping. His whole body felt weak. Bantu placed a hand on his shoulder. "You are strong." Toby laughed bitterly. "I almost gave in." Bantu's grip tightened. Almost is not the same as surrendering. Toby wiped sweat from his forehead. The spirit's words still echoed in his mind. "The queen will not wait forever." He swallowed hard. He needed to find a way to break this before it was too late. And that meant discovering what the River Queen feared most. Toby and Bantu reached a small cave near the mountain's peak. Inside, an old fire pit lay cold. Symbols were carved into the walls. Ancient words. Forgotten names. Bantu turned to him. "You wish to know what the River Queen fears?" Toby nodded. Bantu touched one of the carvings. Long before the spirits of the river ruled these lands, there were others. Toby's breath hitched. Others. Bantu's expression darkened. The sky spirits. The ones who walked before men. Toby's hands tightened into fists. If they are so powerful, why do they not stop her? Bantu exhaled. Because they are sleeping. Toby frowned. Sleeping. Bantu nodded. But if one were to wake, the River Queen would tremble. Toby's mind raced. A power older than the mermaid. Something that could break her hold. Hope stirred in his chest. For the first time, he saw a way out. But waking them is not without risk. Toby met Bantu's eyes. What kind of risk? Bantu's gaze was heavy. Once woken, they do not return to sleep. Toby swallowed hard. This could save him. Or it could doom them all. Kara whined softly, sensing his master's hesitation. Toby took a slow breath. He had to decide. Face the River Queen, or wake something older. The choice could change everything. And deep beneath the river's surface, she was watching. And she was waiting. Toby stared at the carvings on the cave walls, his mind racing. The sky spirits. Beings older than the River Queen. Powerful enough to make her afraid. But if he woke them, what else would awaken? Bantu's voice was calm but heavy. Toby, you must understand, the sky spirits are not like the river spirits. Toby frowned. What do you mean? Bantu traced his fingers over the carvings. The River Queen desires you, but the sky spirits do not desire men at all. They see us as shadows beneath their feet. If you wake them, they will not grant you favor, unless you prove your worth. Toby clenched his fists. Then tell me what I must do. Bantu sighed. There is a place, beyond this mountain. A hidden shrine where the voice of the sky spirit still lingers. Toby's pulse quickened. Can we go there? Bantu nodded. Yes. But once we enter, we may never return the same. Toby glanced at Kara. The dog was staring into the darkness of the cave, his fur bristling. Toby swallowed. He had already come too far to turn back. Then let's go. Bantu gave him a long look, then turned toward the mouth of the cave. So be it. With that, they began their journey toward the hidden shrine. And deep beneath the river, she felt it. The queen's golden eyes flickered with something rare. Fear. The water churned with fury. The River Queen sat on her coral throne, her golden tail coiling like a snake. The spirits of the deep trembled around her. He is trying to break my claim. Her voice echoed like a storm. A servant, pale and gaunt, approached cautiously. My queen, the fisherman seeks the sky spirits. The queen's nails dug into the armrest. Foolish man. Her silver hair flowed around her like mist. He belongs to me. He will not escape. She raised a hand. The river shuddered. A great shadow moved through the deep. Something ancient. Something deadly. "Go," she commanded. The shadow lurched forward, disappearing into the dark currents. If Toby would not return to her willingly, then he would return in chains. The mountain path grew steeper. Toby's legs ached. His breath was shallow. Kara limped beside him, his tongue hanging out. Bantu walked ahead, never slowing. Finally, they reached a clearing. Toby stopped, his chest tightening. Before them stood a massive stone archway covered in glowing symbols. Beyond it, a temple carved from the mountain itself. Toby could feel something watching. A pressure in the air, like the weight of 1,000 unseen eyes. Bantu stepped forward and placed his hand on the archway. The symbols flared with light. The ground rumbled. The doors of the temple groaned open. Cold air rushed out. Toby swallowed hard. This was it. The place where the sky spirits whispered. And if the River Queen feared them, then maybe, just maybe, they could save him. Toby took a deep breath and stepped inside. Toby stepped through the massive stone doors, his heart pounding. The air inside the shrine was thick, heavy, like the weight of an unseen storm pressing against his chest. Glowing symbols covered the towering stone walls, shifting and twisting as if alive. The deeper they walked, the more the air hummed with power. Bantu walked ahead, his hands steady. "Do not speak unless spoken to," he whispered. Toby nodded, swallowing hard. Kara let out a soft growl, his body tense. The tunnel led to a vast chamber. A great pillar of light stretched from the floor to the ceiling, swirling like a living storm. The wind howled. And then, a voice. "Why have you come?" It was not one voice. It was many, a chorus of echoes, rolling like thunder. Toby hesitated, his throat dry. But then he thought of his family. His home. The River Queen's cold, golden eyes. He clenched his fists. "I seek freedom," he shouted over the wind. The air trembled. Lightning cracked across the walls. "You have been marked," the voices boomed. "Your fate is sealed." Toby's heart lurched. "No," he shouted. "There must be a way. Tell me how to break her hold." For a moment, there was silence. Then, laughter. A terrible, howling sound, like wind ripping through trees. "Break her hold," the voices mocked. "Do you even know what she is?" Toby felt a chill creep up his spine. "She is the River Queen," he said. "A spirit of the deep." The laughter stopped. The light pulsed. And then, "She is older than the rivers. Older than the land. She is a child of something greater." Toby's breath caught. Bantu's face darkened. The voices grew softer now, like whispers in the wind. "If you wish to defy her, you must pay a price." Toby swallowed. What price? For a long moment, there was only silence. Then, the light dimmed. The wind stilled. And the voices spoke one final time. "Give us your name, and we will grant you the power to fight her." Toby's blood ran cold. He glanced at Bantu. Bantu's face was unreadable. "Your name is your soul," Bantu whispered. "If you give it away, you may never be the same." Toby's hands trembled. His name. His very identity. Was this the only way? Behind him, the entrance of the shrine rumbled, as if something outside was coming. Time was running out. Would he risk it all to break the River Queen's hold? Or had he already lost? Far below, the river churned. Dark waves rose like towers, crashing against the shore. The water trembled with rage. In the depths, the River Queen's golden eyes glowed. She felt the disturbance. She heard the whispers of the sky spirits. And she would not allow it. A monstrous shadow loomed beside her, a creature born of the abyss, its body lined with silver scales and jagged fangs. "Bring him back to me," the queen commanded, her voice low, dangerous. The beast lurched forward, vanishing into the water. The storm above grew darker. The river queen's lips curled into a slow, knowing smile. "Run as you wish, my fisherman. You will always belong to me." Toby's breath came fast and shallow. The shrine's air pressed against him like an invisible weight. "Give us your name, and we will grant you the power to fight her." The sky spirit's voices echoed, each word striking him like a drumbeat. His name. His very soul. If he surrendered it, would he still be himself? Kara let out a low whimper, nudging his leg as if urging him to think carefully. Toby turned to Bantu. "Is there another way?" he asked, desperation creeping into his voice. Bantu's face remained grim. "There is always another way," he murmured. "But it may be worse than the first." Toby clenched his fists. Was it worth the risk? Then, a deep rumble shook the shrine. The air grew cold. Something was coming. Bantu's eyes widened. "We are out of time." The light in the chamber flickered. Toby could hear it now. A distant, wet slithering. Something massive moving through the tunnels. Kara's fur bristled, his body stiff. Toby turned back to the sky spirits. If he delayed, the River Queen's creature would find them. "What happens if I give you my name?" he asked, his voice tight. The voices hummed, as if amused. "You will become something new. No longer bound to the river's call, but no longer bound to the world of men either." Toby swallowed hard. Lose his identity to gain freedom? Or remain himself and risk being dragged into the river's depths forever? The slithering grew louder. The shadows of the tunnel twisted. Something was here. Something was watching. Toby's heart pounded. The time to decide was now. The tunnel erupted. Stone shattered, dust filling the air. Toby stumbled backward as something massive crashed into the chamber. A serpent-like beast uncoiled from the tunnel, its silver scales reflecting the dim light. Eyes like molten gold locked onto Toby. Its jaws opened, revealing jagged teeth lined with the bones of past victims. Kara snarled and leaped, snapping at the creature's face. The beast hissed and struck. But Bantu moved fast. He grabbed a handful of dust from the shrine floor and flung it toward the beast. The dust sparkled, like embers in the dark. As it touched the creature's scales, it shrieked. The beast recoiled, its body twisting in pain. "Sky fire," Bantu said under his breath. Toby didn't have time to question it. "Run!" He grabbed Kara and sprinted toward the exit. Bantu followed close behind, his staff glowing with strange markings. The monster recovered fast. It let out a piercing shriek, lunging forward. Toby barely dodged as fangs snapped inches from his head. The shrine rumbled. The sky spirits' voices whispered, their words unclear. The choice remains. Accept or be claimed. Toby gritted his teeth. He wouldn't lose himself. Not yet. He forced his legs to move faster, racing toward the light of the exit. And behind him, the River Queen's monster followed. Toby ran. The cold wind whipped against his skin as he and Bantu sprinted toward the exit. Behind them, the River Queen's monster slithered through the cavern, its scales scraping against the walls with a terrible hiss. Boom. The beast lunged, its massive body crashing against the stone, sending rocks tumbling around them. Toby dove forward just in time. Kara barked fiercely, his paws scrambling against the rocky floor. "Faster!" Bantu shouted. The tunnel ahead narrowed, forcing them into a single path. Toby's breath came in ragged gasps. His legs burned, but he couldn't stop. The exit was near, a thin shaft of moonlight gleamed ahead. But just as hope flickered in his chest, a shadow blocked the light. A second creature. Toby skidded to a stop, eyes wide. It was smaller than the first but just as terrifying, its long, eel-like body coiling through the rocks, its golden eyes glowing like lanterns. A trap. They were cornered. Bantu. Toby cried. The old healer didn't hesitate. He grabbed a small pouch from his belt and threw it at the smaller beast. The pouch burst into golden dust. The creature shrieked, its body convulsing as the dust clung to its scales. It thrashed wildly, smashing into the cave walls. Bantu turned to Toby, his voice urgent. Go. Now. Toby didn't wait. With all his strength, he ran toward the exit. Kara bolted ahead, leading the way. The larger beast let out a furious screech, its tail whipping through the cave. Toby jumped. A second too late, and the tail would have crushed him. With a final burst of speed, he burst through the exit. And into the night air. The moon hung high, silver and cold. The open land stretched before them. But behind, the roar of the river echoed through the hills. The River Queen was watching. Toby collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath. Kara stood beside him, his fur bristling. Bantu stumbled out of the cave, wiping sweat from his brow. We cannot stay here, he panted. She knows where you are now. Toby's stomach twisted. The wind shifted. The river, miles away, began to churn. The waters rose unnaturally, twisting and stretching as if reaching for something. Toby's name whispered on the wind. Toby. He froze. It was her. The River Queen. Her voice was everywhere, soft and chilling, curling around him like mist. You can run, my love, but you will never escape me. The ground trembled. The river surged forward, snaking through the land like a living beast. It was coming for him. Bantu's face darkened. We must leave now. Toby stood, gripping Kara's fur. There was only one choice. Run. And pray the river did not swallow him whole. Toby's heart pounded as he ran. Behind him, the river surged forward, twisting through the land like a giant serpent. The water rushed unnaturally fast, swallowing trees, rocks, and anything in its path. Kara barked wildly, his paws kicking up dust as he sprinted beside Toby. Bantu, though old, moved swiftly, his staff glowing faintly as he murmured words under his breath. Where are we going? Toby shouted over the roaring flood. Away from her reach. Bantu replied. We must find higher ground. Toby pushed his legs harder. The night air was thick with mist, and the sound of the River Queen's voice curled around him like an unseen hand. Toby. He shuddered. Her voice was closer. You cannot run from me. The flood was gaining. Toby could feel the ground beneath him tremble as the water devoured the land. Then, ahead, a massive hill rose from the earth, its peak shrouded in twisting vines and old trees. There. Bantu pointed. It was their only chance. Toby gritted his teeth and climbed. The muddy ground slipped beneath his feet, but he forced himself forward, grabbing onto roots and rocks. Kara leaped up beside him, his claws digging into the earth. Bantu followed, using his staff for support. The water crashed against the hill's base, rising fast. Toby climbed higher, his chest burning with effort. Finally, he hauled himself onto the peak. For a moment, he dared to breathe. Then, a shadow moved in the mist. Toby froze. Something was standing at the top of the hill. Tall. Unmoving. A pair of glowing blue eyes stared at him through the darkness. It was waiting for him. Toby's breath caught in his throat. The figure in the mist stood tall, its glowing blue eyes locked onto him. Kara let out a low growl, his fur bristling. Bantu gripped his staff, his voice a whisper. "Stay behind me." Toby swallowed hard. The wind howled around them, carrying the distant roar of the river below. Then, the figure moved. It stepped forward, emerging from the mist. Toby's stomach tightened. It was a man, but not a man. His skin shimmered like moonlit water, and his hair flowed as if caught in an unseen current. He wore a long robe woven from silver reeds, and his feet left no prints on the earth. But it was his face that made Toby's blood run cold. It was eerily familiar. Too familiar. It was his own face. A perfect reflection, but with eyes that belonged to the river. Toby stumbled back, his heart hammering. Who are you?" he whispered. The figure smiled. And when he spoke, his voice was Toby's own, but layered with something deeper, older. "I am what you will become." Toby's body went cold. He wanted to deny it. To say it was impossible. But deep inside, he knew. The River Queen had marked him. And this was what awaited him if he lost. "You do not have to fight it," the reflection said. "She is patient. She is kind. She only wants what was promised." Toby clenched his fists. "I never promised her anything." The reflection tilted its head. "Did you not take from her waters?" The memory of that night flashed in Toby's mind. The night he had ignored his grandfather's warnings. The night he had cast his net into the forbidden waters. "A debt must always be paid," the reflection said. Bantu stepped forward, his voice firm. "Toby owes her nothing." He was tricked. The reflection's glowing eyes narrowed. "It does not matter. The river always takes what is hers." Toby felt the wind shift. The air grew heavy. He had one chance. One choice. To surrender. Or to fight for his soul. Toby's fists clenched. The wind howled around him, carrying whispers from the river below. His reflection, this twisted version of himself, stood motionless, eyes glowing like the deepest part of the ocean. "You cannot fight destiny," the reflection murmured. The words wrapped around Toby like creeping vines. A shiver ran down his spine, but he shook it off. "I choose my own fate," he growled. Kara let out a deep bark, standing beside him like a guardian. Bantu tightened his grip on his staff. "Then you must resist her pull," the old healer said. "How?" Toby asked. Bantu's gaze was grim. "She has left a mark on you, Toby. If we do not break it, she will pull you back into her world. Forever." Toby's stomach tightened. He looked at his arms, his hands, his own body, and felt something crawling beneath his skin. Like the river itself was inside him. "How do I fight her?" he asked again. The reflection smiled. "You don't." And then, the ground beneath them split. Toby felt the earth tremble. A sharp crack echoed through the air. Then, the hill split apart. The ground vanished beneath his feet. Toby's stomach lurched as he fell. The air rushed past him. And then, splash! Icy water swallowed him whole. His body sank fast, pulled downward by invisible hands. "No!" he thrashed, kicking, struggling. But the current was too strong. His lungs burned. His vision blurred. The river wrapped around him, whispering, singing. "You are mine now." Toby's heart pounded. Was this it? Was this how it ended? Then, a shadow dove after him. Kara. The loyal dog fought through the current, teeth bared, eyes wild with determination. Toby felt something snap inside him. A jolt of willpower. Not yet. He forced his arms to move. He would not let the river take him. Not now. Not ever. And above. Bantu was waiting, chanting the words that could bring him back. If only Toby could reach the surface. Toby's lungs burned as the river's grip tightened around him. The water whispered in his ears, voices curling through his mind like mist. Do not fight, my love. You were meant to be mine. The River Queen's voice was soft and sweet, but it carried a terrible power. Toby's limbs felt heavy. His will flickered like a dying flame. Then, above the surface, Bantu's voice boomed through the water. A chant. Let the river release him. Let the spirit return what is not hers. By the bond of the ancestors, let him rise. The words cut through the water like a spear of light. Toby's body jerked. Something inside him broke free. A warmth spread through his chest, pushing against the cold pull of the river. The Queen's voice turned sharp. No. The water tightened around him, dragging him deeper. But then, a flash of white. Kara. The dog bit into Toby's tunic, paddling with all his strength. Toby felt himself move upward. He kicked hard, pushing toward the glowing light above. The river screamed. The whispers became shouts. Mine. He is mine. Toby's hand broke the surface. Then, strong hands grabbed him. Bantu. With a final heave, the old man pulled Toby out of the river. They tumbled onto the muddy shore, gasping for air. Kara barked wildly, circling them. Toby lay on his back, chest heaving, as the night sky spun above him. But before he could catch his breath, a figure rose from the river. The Queen herself. And her eyes blazed with fury. Toby lay gasping on the muddy shore, his chest rising and falling in rapid, desperate breaths. His skin was ice-cold, as if the river's grip still clung to him. Beside him, Kara shook off the water, his ears flattened and teeth bared. Bantu stood tall, his staff glowing faintly under the moonlight. Then, the river stirred. The waters rippled, though there was no wind. Then, from the depths, a figure rose. The River Queen. She towered above them, her form shimmering with water and light. Her long, flowing hair moved as if caught in an unseen current, and her eyes burned like twin moons. A gown of liquid silver clung to her body, and her arms stretched toward Toby. You think you can escape me, she whispered, her voice echoing in the air and the water. Toby's stomach twisted. Even on land, her presence was overwhelming. The river raged behind her, swirling violently, waves crashing against the shore. You are marked, Toby, the Queen continued. No mortal can undo what has been done. Toby gritted his teeth. I never asked for this, he shouted. The Queen's expression remained calm, but the river boiled at her feet. You stole from my waters. You took without asking. The price must be paid. Her gaze darkened. You are mine. Bantu stepped forward, slamming his staff into the ground. No, he bellowed. A shockwave of energy pulsed outward, shaking the earth. The Queen's eyes narrowed. You dare challenge me, old man? The wind screamed through the trees. The river swelled higher. And then, a great wave rose behind her, ready to crash down upon them. Bantu moved fast. He reached into his satchel, pulling out a small leather pouch. Without hesitation, he flung its contents toward the river. A fine white powder scattered into the air. Salt. The moment it touched the water, the river howled. The Queen's eyes flashed, her form flickering like a reflection in rippling water. She stepped back, her elegant features twisting into a snarl. You dare use the sacred salt against me? Bantu's voice was calm but firm. The ancestors bless this land. You have no power here. The Queen hissed, her body shimmering between solid and mist. The river trembled, waves recoiling from the salted earth. For the first time, Toby saw uncertainty in her glowing eyes. She took another step back, her form wavering. Kara snarled, stepping in front of Toby. The queen's gaze landed on the dog, and for a moment, her expression softened. "Loyal creatures," she murmured. Then, her gaze returned to Toby. "You have defied me tonight, fisherman." The river behind her began to calm, its rage settling into a steady pulse. But the queen's voice carried a final, cold warning. "The bond is not broken. I will come for you again." With that, her body dissolved, flowing back into the river. The night fell silent. Only the gentle lapping of water remained. Toby let out a shaky breath. Was it truly over? Or had this battle only just begun?